It's been about a week now since Travis Scott's Utopia dropped. And, this was an album that hip hop world was super excited for. Of course, coming off of Astro World, certified classic, big moment in hip hop. We were expecting the follow up Utopia to have that same effect. Of course, from one of the biggest artists in hip hop right now, Travis Scott. But if I'm being completely honest, I was a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. Like coming off of the single Mafia that he put out as a Lucy, I thought that's the direction where we were going. Like, dark, very focused, high energy. He was in his bag on that track. So I'm like, shit. If we're getting Mafia level shit on this Utopia album, like this is gonna be a classic. Travis wanted to perform Utopia at the pyramids. Like, of course, Egypt officials said, nah, this is not gonna happen. But just the fact that he wanted to do that is like, okay, he's gearing up for something crazy. Like he's trying to do something we've never seen before. He has an album that is gonna be a masterpiece. But what we got wasn't quite that. You know what I mean? In my opinion, anyways. Astro World, which was an incredible album, and I believe it to be I believe it's a modern day classic. It was a perfect display of Travis Scott's of his skill set. You know what I mean? Which to me, he's at his best when he's producing high energy, high level soundscapes. Like that's what Travis Scott is really good at to me. It's really the production. You know what I mean? That Yeezus shit that he collaborated with Kanye. He really elevates the sound of hip hop in that regard. But what made Astro World so great was Travis's ability to hone in on all these different sounds of producers and artists and collaborating and make it sound effortless and fluid. You know what I mean? Astro World felt like we were on a ride listening to one long song, which transitioned into various parts with ups and downs, but it felt like one. It felt cohesive, and the moments stood out. Like there's various classic moments that we'll remember forever in hip hop. On Utopia, however, though, it feels like a lot of great ideas which never really came to fruition. It's an all-star cast of collaborators, but it doesn't have the execution that Astro World had, that fluidity, the attention to detail. To me, this album feels a little bit scattered. Sometimes it feels like a DJ Khaled album, like a compilation album with dope production. A lot of the songs felt to me like snippets of a good idea, and then it's like, insert this artist here. Then we'll just cut to another piece altogether, and it's just like, the transitions are just not as fluid to me. Sometimes, not even sometimes, a lot of the times I just felt like I wanted more. Another issue I had with the album, of course, okay, we all know Travis Scott is not looked at for, he's not like super lyrical miracle guy. We all know that, okay? That's fine. But with this album in particular, I just feel like a lot of Travis's verses were just like filler content. You know what I mean? Like, even when he mentioned the Astro Fest tragic incident that took place, it's only like a couple bars, and it's really just like, just throw that in there, like go with the flow that I already have and just add it in. It's not like this. It's not very dense. It's not very topical. You know what I mean? Like, to me at least, again, everything doesn't have to be about storytelling and spilling your heart, but after what Travis just went through with that, someone losing their life at one of his concerts and all the shit that went on, they tried to damn near cancel Travis Scott. You would think that he would have something to say. And again, I know with the sound of certain records on here, like Parasail with Dave Chappelle, he has Dave Chappelle saying, "I forgive myself," and saying these things, but it's like, we want to hear it from Travis. We want to feel it from Travis. Like, we want, not that I'm looking for this big apology record, but I'm looking for Travis to emote some type of emotion. Like, just show some emotion on the record. You're an artist, bro. That's what art is about. You know what I mean? Like, the best art comes from pain. We all know that. Like, the greatest artists of all time, the greatest music comes from pain. And I know Travis Scott likes to have fun and turn up and all that shit, and I love that about his music. But on this album, and again, that's why I love Astro World, because he executed that so perfectly. He didn't try to get outside of what he does. and it worked perfectly. You know, on this album, I feel like sonically he was trying to reach another level creatively, right? And sometimes if the music is gonna be very cinematic and there's a lot of motion in the music behind what he's saying, you got to match that energy as the artist, whether it's with the melody, vocally, the way you're saying something. You know what I mean? You could feel something in the way someone says some shit. Like 21 Savage is not a lyrical genius, but when he says some shit, you feel that shit. Like he could be saying the most basic fucking lyric, but you feel that shit. With Travis, sometimes it just feels like empty bars sometimes. You know what I mean? And I know he's very talented, and he's good at creating melody with auto-tune and stuff like that, but there's no feeling in it. And you know, this is the guy we say created the Yeezus sound. But when you go listen to Yeezus, if you listen to Blood on the Leaves, you can't tell me Travis can do that vocally. He may have helped write it. It may have been his idea. He may have helped with production. But what Kanye did with that fucking auto-tune at the end of that record, you feel the pain in his voice. And I've seen videos of him performing that shit. You see the pain in it. Travis is missing that here on this album. It's not just about the bars. The bars are missing. They're missing real content value, real connection. I can't really connect too much on this album as far as it goes from Travis. And that's the biggest part for me, because it's like the music, the soundscapes are so beautiful, but then the lyrics just don't match. It doesn't really connect. The feeling isn't there from a songwriting perspective, you know. And it was usually a guest feature that was the highlight on one of the songs, and oftentimes those moments were cut short, like Sampha's part on My Eyes. That's one of my favorite songs on the album, but I still finished that song wanting more. You know what I mean? Like most of the highlights on this album, I feel like they come from other people. Whether it's Drake's verse, you know, that's the verse everybody's talking about. This is your album. This is supposed to be, you know, I saw people on Twitter, oh, this is Travis Scott's magnum opus. This is Travis Scott's magnum opus. This is his best album. If you're not the highlight on your album, that's an issue. Like, you know, other people can have standout parts of your record. Like if you look at Renegade, Eminem was the standout on Renegade, right? But Jay-Z has way better moments on Blueprint than Renegade. You know what I mean? It's not like Eminem killed the whole album. He kind of stole the thunder on that song, but you know that the whole album as a whole, Jay-Z's the highlight. You gotta be the highlight on your album, bro. Like it's West Side Gun is the highlight. He stands out. His lyrics stand out. It's Drake stands out. Everyone's talking about Drake. It's Beyonce's vocally, she stands out. SZA comes in. You're like, oh shit, SZA. Sampha comes in for a couple bars. Oh shit, Sampha. But when are we like, oh shit, yo, Travis said that? Yo, that line when Travis, in his second verse, Travis said da 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 da. When does that ever happen? Like, I can't even remember one bar. And I've listened to the album probably like 6 times now, because I really wanted to give the review a fair understanding. Like I really wanted to give the album a fair understanding. I didn't want to listen to it one time and then da da da. I really gave it multiple listens in different areas, at the gym, in my car, with my AirPods, whatever the case may be. And it just feels like something's missing. You know, at the end of the day, Travis is a rapper. There has to be some type of quotable, you know, IG caption type bar, something. You know, I just really didn't get that on this album for me. And you know, on the song I Know, I feel like that's when Travis was really in his bag. Like he was floating on that record. From a songwriting standpoint, it was good. I think that's his best performance on this album. It's actually one of the only songs where he's by himself, if not the only one. With the cast of artists and producers being on some like Marvel level production value, this album should have been a masterpiece. But instead of Avengers Endgame, you know, we got Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't know. It's not what it should have been, you know. And it's not all bad. There's songs I do like on here, but for what we expect for one of the biggest artists in the game. He's gonna go number one. We know that. He's gonna sell records. He's gonna sell out his tours and everything. We just expect more. You know, if he wants to compare himself to one of the best, he's got to present that. And the best don't just do it once. They do it again, they do it again, then they do it again. If you really want to compete, you want to be that guy, that's what it takes. You know, I will say the production is top notch. You know, it almost sounds like a soundtrack, which makes sense why Travis made a film to accompany the album. You know, but if that's the case, like why not have the film released with the album? You know, it released in select theaters, wasn't available in my city. You know, why not have it like live stream? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why not have that shit on Prime or Netflix or something, or just straight on YouTube, so we could watch it with it? Like, if you feel that the visual presentation is gonna help with the music. But again, you shouldn't need visuals to make your music stand out. You know what I mean? My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was already incredible without the Runaway film. We didn't need it. It was icing on the cake. That's what the film is supposed to be. It's icing on the cake to really push it. But the album itself, I don't need a visual for it, right? So it's like, it's not like not being able to see the film should be an excuse for why the album doesn't hit for me or connect for me. You know, all in all, it's not a bad album. If I were to grade this album, I give it like a B-. The production is A grade level, but the songwriting couldn't quite get there for me. And another thing that I want to say, and has to be said, is Meltdown is not Sicko Mode 2.0. People got to stop saying that shit. Like, if you think Meltdown is Sicko Mode 2.0, you should get your hip-hop card revoked. That shit does not come close to Sicko Mode. Sicko Mode is a true classic record that'll go down until the end of time. That's one of the best hip-hop records of all time. Meltdown, the reason why you're so hype about it is because Drake dissed Pharrell and Pusha T on it. It's not because the record is so amazing. Meltdown is just cool. That's not compared to Sicko Mode, no way. So that's it for this album, man. You know, I wanted another classic. I expected that for sure. I think it's been 5 years since Astro World came out. So, you know, him cooking that long, I thought for sure this is going to be something incredible. And with the all-star cast that he has, it's just like, man, the reason I give it a B- is because you have everything at your disposal. There's no excuse. And it just didn't reach that level. I can't grade it the same way and say, oh, because the production's so amazing, it's an A+ or A-. I can't grade it the same way I grade another artist, because you have to take in the fact that there's other artists out here that can make great albums and don't have even one of these features. This man has fucking Beyonce, Drake, West Side Gun, James Blake, Sampha, SZA. The list goes on. 21 Savage, Sway Lee, like Mike Dean. Like, there's so much input from extraordinary artists. The Weeknd is on there. There's no reason that this album shouldn't be an A, at least A+ album. So that's why I'm giving it a B-. Not because it's a bad album, just because it's kind of just okay. My standout tracks on here, I'll say My Eyes, I Know, Lost Forever, Telekinesis, Till Further Notice. The songs I'll skip on here is probably Fiend, Utopia Twins, and K-pop. Travis Scott, Utopia, B-. You know, it's okay. It's just not the classic I thought, or incredible banger of an album I thought it would be.